Lovelies, my name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit. And from the title of today's video, you might be wondering, what do you mean finale? You just leveled up to level 6 last month. And you're correct, I did. I had a total of 7 palettes to choose from in this project this year, and I had 2 remaining at the last update. So I decided to hand select the palette that I wanted to use for level 6. Now, both palettes left over were both of my Gimme Glow palettes. I had the Summer Vibes and the Coral Nightlife palette. And ultimately, I went with the Summer Vibes palette. So I did say that the Coral Nightlife would be my Project Level Up Level 1 palette for next year. And that is what I'm going to stick with. So we will be discussing the Summer Vibes palette, the progress that I have made over the last month. I did film last month's update on September 27th. So I started using this palette on the 28th, which technically would give me about a week and a half extra progress. However, out of those extra days, there was 4, maybe 5 days where I didn't even reach for this palette. So I think I really only had maybe a week or so of extra usage on here. But even that, we were going to discuss this palette. So of course, with level 6, I had to use every single shade in here 6 times, and I had to try and hit 6 pans. So the goal of reaching for every single shade 6 times has been completed, and every shade minus 4 of them have been over that 6 use limit. So we are going to open this up. I'm going to show you what my palette is looking like. We're gonna flip this back, and I hope you guys can see what this palette is looking like right now. So this shade here, Coconut Slushy, this already had pan in it previous to me bringing it into this project. So that pan did not count towards anything. However, I did use this a total of 6 times, and then I left it at that. But I'm going to bring this just a little bit closer so you guys can see. I have hit my 6 pan goal. Don't ask me how, but I did it. So we are just going to go through this palette one by one. I was going to go through it in the order that I hit pan, but I would be jumping all over the place. So let's just go pan by pan. So again, I used this a total of 6 times, and then I let the shade go. The shade Firework, this is, or not Firework, Peach Snow Cone. It is a peachy matte. I really enjoyed it. These shades, these mattes are very powdery, very, very powdery. And I think that definitely helped with trying to hit pan. There was so much kick up. I tried to use some of it, but it was just too much. So I tried cleaning it up. I tapped all of the excess away. So what is left is what is left. You can see in here and a little bit in here, I do have some of the remnants of the powder, but I tried my best. So I managed to hit pan in this shade in a total of what I have marked down as 10 uses. Now this was the second shade that I actually hit pan in, and the way that I ended up wearing it in the beginning was paired with Skinny Dip down here. I would kind of use this one in like the transition shade, or use it as a transition shade, or I would use it in the inner, like first half of my lid. I would use this in the outer corner a little bit, or the last half of the crease. And then eventually I just kind of picked up from where I left off with here after I hit pan here. So spoiler, this was the first pan I hit, but I ended up wearing this all over the lid and just tapped a shimmer on top of it. And that is how I wore a lot of the shades over the last few weeks or so. And I swear I've never had that many compliments on my eye looks. I was actually in Sephora the other day, and one of the girls who was working there asked me what I was wearing on my eyes, and I told her it was a Gimme Glow palette. And she's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "It's an indie brand." She thought Gimme Glow was like the actual name of the palette. I said, "No, it's a brand. It's an independent brand." And she was like, "It's so pretty." So sometimes I would tap more of a shimmer or just a very light amount of the shimmer in the center of the lid and just kind of pat it out to blend it a little bit. Then again, like I said, today, especially, not purposefully, but sometimes I would just go in a little bit heavier with the shimmer, and it would just kind of cover a little bit more of the lid. But I ended up pairing this all over the lid with a shimmer on top of it, and it was so pretty. So that is how I managed to pan in the shade right here. Now, this shade here called Summer Fling, I also hit pan in this shade here. You can see it right there. Some of these with the shimmers, it was harder to tell whether or not the pan was actually there. But we will get to the more difficult ones in a little bit. This one I have marked down a total of 11 times, but I'm thinking I accidentally marked Brazilian bikini here an extra 2 times. I think I probably used this only the 6. I have it marked down as 8. However, I think those extra 2 were supposed to go here. So instead of 11, I think this should be 13. But I even marked down Brazilian bikini as the one that I hit pan in, which I know is obviously not, because that's the shade here. It was the shade. I just wasn't really looking when I did it. So anyways, whether it was 11 or 13 uses, I really, really liked this shade. I liked it so much more than I thought it was going to. The shift in the shade, I think, is what kind of made it for me. It wasn't as blue as I was expecting it to be, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved it for that reason. I was a little scared and intimidated of that shade at first, but as soon as I started pairing it onto the lid, I thought it was so pretty. I would wear it in the inner corner. This was one that I would tap over peach snow cone or skinny dip just in the center of the lid, tap it out. It was beautiful. I really, really enjoyed the shade. And this is one that I would like to dip into in the future, not to finish off or anything like that, but just to get a little bit more use out of it, because I really enjoyed it and I think it would be fun to use in other looks. So next we're moving on to Brazilian bikini, which is the green here. So like I said, I have it marked down for 8, but I really do think that this was actually a 6 use, because I had just finished using the green in my, I forgot to do that. My level 5 palette was my Sugar Drizzle, Sugar Dreams palette, and I had a green in the center of that 9 pan that I only used the 5 times. And then when I pulled this out, I realized there was a green in it. So it was the same thing. I do remember now that I was supposed to use that dark purple until I hit pan on it, and I was going to update you guys in this video. I unfortunately did not use it at all, so there was still no pan in it. I thought about it a couple of times, but I think I was just so focused on this and a couple of other things that I just completely forgot to use that purple shade in the Sugar Drizzle palette. I had put it away and I just kind of didn't really think about it much after that, and I just remembered again right now. So unfortunately, I had moved on. I had hit 5 pans. I was aiming for that one, and that one I did not actually reach and hit pan on, but I still had 5 different ones, so that is still a complete level. But I completely forgot about using that purple shade. So I will probably just pull it into a project in the future just to get a little bit more use on it and finally hit pan in it. But that is a total side story, and I completely forgot. Okay, so unfortunately no update. But like I said, back to here, because there was a green in that Sugar Drizzle palette and there was a green in here, I really do think that I was just leaving this at the 6 uses. I think I used it in the exact same way, just on the lower lash line, blended it out a little bit, and that was kind of it. This one right here. Now, this is actually called Electric Unicorn, and I did say that this was my favorite shade. Was my favorite shade. It no longer is. I'm wearing it today. This is the last shade that I hit pan on. I hit pan on the shade today. You're going to see the pan right there. It's very little. This one I think you saw. It's also kind of hard to see, but it's, maybe it is bigger than it's right there. It's hard to see. This one I have all over my lid, paired on top of Brown by MAC. I do really like it, but I definitely wasn't using it as much as I thought. Now, it definitely did take me, I have 17 uses, but it's flaky. It is more flaky than I was expecting. It's flakier than the other shimmers in this palette. Again, this shimmer, actually all of these shimmers came from this palette originally, so this is the only one that was just a regular single that I had purchased. So the formula is different. It's pretty. It is still very pretty. I still do enjoy it, but it's definitely not my favorite Gimme Go shade anymore, and that's okay. Things change. It doesn't always have to be. But again, I hit pan on this one today, so I figured I would sit down and film this for you guys now, and it took me a total of 17 uses. Firework here. Now, this shade I hit pan in 10 uses, and then I had to use it one more time to expand the pan because it was so hard to see, and same goes for the shade here, Bronzed Bombshell. The brush that I was using is just like a flat shader brush, But I think what happened is the way that the bristles were kind of dipping into it, because these are soft, it was kind of going underneath the shadow a little bit. Like you can see, but it's really hard to tell. And it was the same with this one here when I had hit pan and coconut slushy in another project a while ago. I think the tip of the bristles were kind of digging underneath the shadow, and that's what ended up hitting pan first, not the rest of the brush. So I definitely had to reach for these two one extra time so that you could actually see the pan. I could see it, but it had to be at a very specific angle. But for me to be able to show you guys, I had to reach for it just one more time to try and expand it to be able to show you. But now you can see that. So I really loved wearing this on the lid. I would pair it a lot with Bronze Bombshell here and wear it like in the inner half or the inner corner of my lid. I don't think I ever wore it just straight all over the lid, but I really liked wearing this one. Of course, paired it with both of these as well. It was just a great shade. I kind of was like, I was happy when I hit pan, but I like didn't want to move on from it either, but at the same time I did. So I was good with it. Like I said, 10 uses, I was happy, and that is that. This shade right here, this was also one that I had put in here myself. So it's labeled as watermelon, but watermelon was a much darker pink. So I don't quite know what the name of this shade actually is, but I'm sure it says on the back of it. This is one that I used 6 times and then I just kind of let it go. This one right here, Mango Margarita, same thing. I used this a total of 6 times and then I stopped using it. I did pair it here with Sunny, which also after 6 uses I stopped using. I had 5 uses left on both of these shades. So what I decided to do was actually wear them together. I put Mango Margarita on the outside of the lid. I paired Sunny on the inside. And sometimes I would even take this pink shade right here and kind of blend the two together in the center of the crease. So that's kind of how I paired these 3 shades together a little bit. And then the last time I had to reach for these two, I just wore these two all over the lid and paired probably one of these or something else in the center as my shimmer. So these 3 shades, after the 6 uses, they were out. I did not try reaching for them anymore after that. Now we have Bronzed Bombshell. This was the very first shade that I hit pan on, and same thing as I said with Firework, the way that the bristles were hitting the shadow and it was kind of digging underneath. So again, I had to reach for it one more time. So I had a total, I think it was 12 uses. I have 13 marked down, but I may have marked that extra usage on here. I can't remember. But either way, 12 or 13 uses to get it to look like that. The pan still looks really small, but you can see how much, like the size of the brush, the size of the dip, like there's a lot of shadow that's missing from that palette or this shade, even though the pan is so tiny. And same with this one. I loved this. I wore this one in the outer corner. This one would go on the inner corner or the first half, and this was on the outer half. I just really liked pairing these 2 shades together. And I hit this one first, and I don't think it was the same day, but it may have been the day after that I hit Firework. So they were so close together. Then we have Skinny Dip right here, and this one took me a total of 20 uses, and this was actually the 3rd shade that I hit pan on. Now at first I was wearing this in the outer V. I would pair this on the outer corner with this one in the inner, or the transition, the crease. I really did like wearing it that way, and then I started to put this just all over the lid and just tap a shimmer in the center of it. And the first couple times I did that, the amount of compliments I got on my eye look, so I've just kind of continued that. This is the one that started it all, and I really did enjoy reaching for this shade. I was happy to hit pan on it, but again, it was one that I was like, okay, I can definitely do this with other shades. It is just a brown matte. I have tons of those. I will continue to do so. And sure enough, I'm wearing it one today. But I really did enjoy wearing this shade. Yeah, I loved this. And then the last shade, Tan Lines, I used this one a total of 10 times, surprisingly. It's not as dark as I thought it was, but this is the shade that I wore just in the outer V. I don't really think I did anything else with it. I didn't blend it in too far. I never put it down and tapped something on top of it. I just kept this as an outer corner, outer V shade just to deepen it up a little bit. And like I said, I reached for it a few extra times, which did surprise me. But the closer I got to my 6 uses, I realized it really wasn't as deep as I was expecting it to be. It was like just the kind of like on the verge of where I would be okay with, because I'm not a fan of deep dark shades. So I did enjoy reaching for this one, but once I hit those 10 uses, I was like, I really didn't need to reach for it anymore. I wasn't exactly contemplating using it to try and hit pan on, but I was like okay with using it more than the number of uses that I needed to. So I know that was, the whole thing. So Bronze Bombshell, like I said, was the first one that I hit pan on. Then Fireworks was the second. Skinny Dip was then the third. Summer Fling was the fourth. Peach Snow Cone was the fifth, and then the sixth pan today was Electric Unicorn. So I am going to end this project here. Could I bring in the Coral Nightlife palette and try and hit 7 pans for the next update? Maybe, but I'm not going to do that. It is a little bit too bright and too fun for what I'm into right now. And 7 pans seems to be a lot. Like I said, I started filming this and working on it a week and a half, technically I guess about a week prior to this update. So I think I might need a couple of extra days to do that, and I don't have those days now, but that is okay. It's all good. That will be my level 1 palette for next year. Now for Project Level Up next year, I do have a list of palettes that I want to pull in for this project. I do have 6, but I'm thinking of pulling in a 7th as well. That does include the Coral Nightlife palette. So I do have 5 other palettes that I'm thinking of pulling in, and I might add a 7th palette as well, because if this did not take me too long, I think I can get through level 1 rather quickly. And what I might do is finish level 1, start level 2 as soon as I do, even if it's before the update, and then I will just kind of like throw it all together in one video for you guys. Screen record me choosing the palettes, that sort of thing, and just kind of see where it takes us. So I'm really looking forward to it. The palettes that I have pulled for it right now, I am really excited to start to use. It's been a little bit for some of those palettes, and I'm just excited to start to show them some love. So I will do it again the same way that I have been doing this project this year, where all of the palettes will be eligible for each level except for level 1. I've already selected that palette. But for level 2 and up, I will just randomize between what is left and use whatever palette gets chosen. I do still like the way that I did it last year, where I had like 4 palettes for each level, and I just kind of randomized between those 4 palettes per level to select one. But I think, narrowing down the palettes that I want to use within that year, making sure that I'm really getting through those palettes, I think this is just a little bit better for my sake. I hope you guys have enjoyed me doing it this way, and look forward to my project, my progress, and everything next year. But that is it. That is all. So I'm going to end Project Level Up for 2025. I hope you guys have enjoyed this like I obviously have. I absolutely love this project. I think it's amazing. Sophie Alexandra is down below. Go check her out, as she's the creator of this project, and she has a playlist of everybody else who is doing this, I believe. So go check that out and see whoever else you would like to watch. And that is it. So until next year, Project Level Up has come to an end, and that is it for now. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys all later. Bye.